All right, good morning, everybody. We are coming up at the top of the hour. So we'll go ahead and get started here in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to wait another minute or two and see if anybody else jumps on. I know you usually see your calendar invite pop up like right when the meeting's supposed to start, so we'll give it a few more minutes. Alrighty, well, we have a lot of content to get through today. Chris and Stephanie are both on as co-hosts, and we'll continue to let people in from the waiting room as we go ahead and get started here. So my name is Gracie Weinzierl. I am the Consumer Engagement Manager here at the Illinois Center for Ag Engagement. Basically, I am kind of the black sheep of the Ag in the Classroom department here, not actually doing Ag in the Classroom day to day. My background is that I work in communication. I worked for an agency prior to coming to Illinois Farm Bureau, and a lot of my day-to-day role at that time was social media management for national level checkoff organizations. So I've really learned the ins and outs of social media, not really through any class. It's literally just clicking around, and that's probably going to be the theme of today. It's like, don't be afraid to click. So today I'm bringing you Social Media 101. I know we are all over the place as far as how often we use social media, what types of social media channels we use, how we use social media, how long we've been on social media. So I'm trying to get everybody here on just the same page. We'll talk about platforms, best practices for social media management for Ag in the Classroom specifically, and then a brief intro to reading the analytics. You know, what do the metrics mean? How do you know that what you're doing is performing? So we'll go ahead and get started here. This is what we're going to talk about today. Types of platforms. Which platform is best for you? That was a big question in the survey that Chris sent out a few weeks ago. We'll also talk about business and organization accounts versus personal accounts. Tracking the results, best practices when using social media, especially when posting, and then some useful apps for photo editing, graphic creation, video editing, all of the above, which I know a lot of you were looking forward to. So before we get started, I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page with vocabulary. So when I say platform or channel, I am referring to the website or an app or a type of social media. So Facebook is a platform, Twitter is a platform. A post is your shared information. It's when you actually click the share button and put it out to the world. It is an update on your information stream. An image is generally a photo, whereas a graphic is illustration or text-based. They are different and they are kind of the same. Social media does not necessarily treat them the same. Metrics, measurables, analytics, those are all about the results. I will use all of those interchangeably. I may refer to something as analytics and then turn around and call it metrics. Basically, it's just your social media performance and how you can measure what you're doing in order to improve. Organic is not paid. So anything that you post on Facebook probably today is organic unless you go out of your way to boost the post or create an ad. So organic is not paid promotion. Impressions and views is the number of times a post was actually seen. So sometimes when you're scrolling through your Facebook feed, you may see things more than once, especially if you log in more than once in a day. So that is your impressions or your view count, whereas reach is the actual number of people who saw a post. You're gonna hate me telling you this, but the internet has a lot of data on you. We can tell what you were using, how you were using things, and Facebook can tell who it's delivered a post to. And so reach kind of tells us that, okay, maybe the person saw it 2 or 3 times, but I'm only going to count you once. And then engagement is the audience's interaction with a post. So it's a like, it's a reaction, it's a comment, it's a share, it's a post click. It's how did they engage with the post? You know, most of the time, I know when I scroll through Facebook, I stop and read things, but I don't actually click on the post. So that would not count as an engagement, but that does not necessarily mean that nobody saw your post. So the different types of social media channels that we will be covering. The big 5 that I would like to talk about today are Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and Twitter. We may also refer to Snapchat, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Those are really the big 8 social media channels out there right now. There are a ton more. I know Byte is up and coming. We are not going to talk about that today. And there's a lot of social media channels out there, but these are the ones that seem to have risen to become cream of the crop. I'm sure you're all familiar with Facebook. It is, you know, a catch-all social media platform. You can do video sharing, photo sharing, you can create groups, you can interact with your friends in closed and public environments. Instagram, owned by Facebook. It's mostly photo sharing, but there is some video sharing through Instagram TV. And so it's that visual component, and it's both closed and public environments. Pinterest is a discovery tool. So it's almost like Google for, you know, it's a tailored Google. So you're looking for specific things. So it's a great place to share lesson plans. YouTube is pretty much just a video hosting platform. There's not as much interaction on YouTube today as there was, say, 10 years ago when, you know, it was still up and coming. You can comment, you can, you know, like things, but it's not really somewhere where you go to interact. So in our context, we're going to call it a video hosting platform. Twitter is similar to Facebook in that it's a micro blogging platform. Twitter does best when it is public versus private. It is limited in characters, which I know originally it was 140 characters. It was really hard to spit out, you know, something that condensed, and now it's 280 characters. They really do favor up to 4 photos, things like that. Also subject to the algorithm, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But it's a good microblogging platform for people that are interested in news and information. Snapchat has really become mostly just a texting platform. They tried really hard to be a video curation, being able to curate those content, but TikTok really just took over there. So Snapchat anymore, you know, you hear about teenagers, preteens being on it, but it's really just a photo texting platform anymore. LinkedIn is professional. So business professionals are expected to be there. Business organizations are also present there, but it's really that networking in the professional capacity, especially people looking for jobs and such. And then TikTok, I'm sure many of you have heard of. It's actually a hybrid of what was called Musical.ly, which was a great platform where you could get music clips that were free to use, royalty free. And so it turned into a video creation platform there, and has really been super popular among the younger crowds, Gen Z particularly. And there's also some concern because it's based physically in China, but we're really not going to get into that today. Frankly, if you can figure out TikTok, you are more than welcome to be on that platform. I have not really mastered that quite yet, and I'm not sure that I'm really the target audience that they want on there. So this is a fun graphic that I like to refer to. It was last updated in 2018, so I'm sure some things have changed, that really give you a basic overview of what was then the big 6 social media channels. What is not there is YouTube and TikTok of what I just went through. TikTok really wasn't around in 2018. And again, YouTube is mostly a video hosting platform. So I will upload this to the blog site so you can see it for yourself. It's a really good comparison of, what is it? How many users are there? What is favored content by that platform? Believe it or not, every platform has an algorithm. That's why you see Facebook posts from certain people versus other people, even though you follow, 800 pages. Facebook kind of learns how you interact with the platform and seeks to deliver content that best fits how you like to interact, hoping that you will come back or you will spend more time on the platform. It's why you don't get every single post from every single one of your friends all the time, because frankly, we would be overwhelmed. And so it kind of talks about how those platforms, or how each of those platforms have their algorithms set up. It also gives you an idea of how many users are on the platform. So obviously Facebook is the most popular platform, social media platform in the world. There are probably approaching 3 billion users today. So it's a really good place to connect and build an audience. But again, I'll go ahead and post this on the blog site so you can see it for yourself later. So which social media platform is best for me? So I will speak from Illinois Agriculture in the Classroom. I've dabbled in that social media. I do not do the day-to-day content development, but I do kind of look at the metrics and analytics and try to understand how things are working, where we are getting the best return on investment, where we maybe shouldn't be spending our time because we're not getting as much of a return. Facebook is the #1 platform in the US, and frankly, it's really, really good for Ag in the Classroom. It's where a lot of people are. I think one thing you should consider is your audience. So when you go out in the classrooms, your audience is, they're the students, it's K through 12 or K through 6, whatever buildings you like to hit, they're your students. Well, the majority of these platforms technically do not allow users under 13. There are ways around that. That's one of them. But generally, your students are not going to be the ones on social media, but your teachers and your parents are. And so your teachers and your parents typically are of the generation that favors Facebook. But that's not to say that not everybody joins Facebook eventually. We talk a lot about how Generation Z just does not use Facebook, Well, Generation Z is barely 18. What we're finding in research that I've read is that students, when they graduate high school and move away from home for the first time, is when they join Facebook. When you're a teenager in your parents' house, you do not want your grandma, you don't want to be friends with your grandma, but then when you move away from home, it's like, well, kind of interested, in being friends with grandma. And so they are eventually joining. So Facebook is really good to reach the teachers and the parents. Instagram is really good to reach the younger audiences. That's not to say other audiences aren't there. I manage a few 4-H pages for our club, and we are on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is for the parents, Instagram is for the members. Once they turn 13, they probably go ahead and get an Instagram. It's being a photo-oriented channel, it's not a threat for many parents to allow them to join, is what I'm reading. And so that's why the younger audience tends to be on Instagram. And again, because Instagram is owned by Facebook, it's kind of that conduit to eventually get them on Facebook. Pinterest is a great ideas platform. We find a lot of success sharing lesson ideas. I hear that a lot of teachers are still using Pinterest pretty regularly, even though it seems to have died off among the crafting community. So it's still worth your while there. YouTube, again, a very, very popular platform. It probably has the most users of any website out there besides Google, but really for us, it's meant to house videos to share on other platforms, especially if you're using Google Classroom. Google owns YouTube. Obviously, Google owns Google Classroom. So they talk and they work really well together. So if you're looking to use Google Classroom this upcoming semester, YouTube is a great place to house those videos versus, say, uploading them natively to Facebook. And then again, Twitter is for the information seekers. This is, if you have a ton of time on your hands and you just want to put out a bunch of agricultural-based information, Twitter is great. If you're a one-man show, you're looking just to dabble in social media, pick 3 or fewer and do them really, really well. Twitter maybe isn't the platform you want to be on unless it's one personally that you really favor, you spend a lot of time on. But honestly, what we find with Twitter is that you're going to be preaching to the choir. You're going to get a lot of ag followers. You're not going to get a lot of non-ag followers. That's just how Twitter works. how we seek content. So again, it's something you could consider, but maybe not something that if you are just getting started that you should be the first page that you launch. So how to pick a platform. You need to consider your content. Are you sharing a lot of text-based content? Are you sharing lesson plans? Are you sharing videos? Are you sharing photos? If you're not sharing any photos or videos, there's no point to you being on Instagram. It is what it is. Like I said, Facebook is kind of a catch-all. If you're not sharing videos, there's no reason for you to have a YouTube account, things like that. So think about how you plan to build your content schedule, what types of content you want to share. Again, you also need to consider your audience. What platforms does your audience use? What audience are you targeting? Are you trying to reach out to teachers as your primary audience and parents as your secondary audience? Are parents your primary audience and teachers your secondary audience? Think about, put yourself in your audience's shoes. How are they using social media? Where are they at? Find them where they are at. And then what are you most comfortable with? What do you use personally on a day-to-day basis? What is something that it's not going to be a huge learning curve up front to get you started? So again, I've mentioned before, Facebook owns both Facebook and Instagram. They're very, very similar in functionality. So if you're on Facebook, Instagram is a very natural second step. So think about things like that. But again, most social media platforms are extremely user-friendly. Do not be afraid to click. Clicking is how the younger generations learn. You can just undo what you did, just watch what you're clicking. And then again, I talked about this before, rule of thumb, pick 3 platforms, or fewer, and just do them really, really well. You don't need to be everywhere. Your audience can't possibly be everywhere. There is not enough hours in the day for everybody to be on all of the social media platforms. So pick 3 or fewer and do them really, really well. Business versus personal accounts. I know that this is something that maybe we're starting to get over. So when Facebook first started, pages did not exist. Facebook realized that businesses were creating profile accounts, user accounts wanting to be on. And so basically what happened then is you had to be friends with the business to be able to see their posts. Obviously that was a little bit weird, like the business had to accept your friend request, but then Facebook realized it's like, oh, businesses are interested in this. It's like, what ad dollars could we possibly get from this? And thus the Facebook page was born. So the difference between a page and your personal account is a closed network. You have to accept your own followers. You have to accept friend requests versus a business page is public. A Facebook page is public. People like or follow you. You do not have to control who is able to like or follow you. You don't have to accept those requests, but you can block them if you need to. Would not recommend that because that does not do well for your algorithm if you're just blocking willy-nilly. But it's different. It's more of a public network. It's more of that business feel. Anybody can walk into a store versus not everybody can necessarily walk into your house. So again, it's a public account. Your Ag in the Classroom page should be set as a business account. It should be a Facebook page. It should be a business account on Twitter or professional account, whatever they call it. It should be a business account on Pinterest. Now, except for Facebook, you can convert almost any account to a business or professional account. It's really easy. And really what that gives you is access to your analytics. It gives you a little bit more functionality in terms of being able to advertise and do paid boosts. You can link your accounts across platforms. Facebook and Instagram are notorious for this. Basically, if you share something on Instagram, there's a little button and you can share it on Facebook. I would not recommend cross-posting all the time, but it is something you can use. And then also having a business page actually optimizes your organizational SEO, which is search engine optimization. Basically, when you Google, say, Illinois Ag in the Classroom, the first thing that's going to come up is our website. Second thing that's probably going to come up is our Facebook page, just because we have a very strong presence there. And Google indexes social media as a website. And so it does really well for when people are searching for you, they can find you right away. So again, most everything can be converted if you're not already there. If you are set up as a Facebook profile and not a Facebook page, I would maybe consider going ahead and setting up as a Facebook page. I think we've passed the time period that you can convert a profile into a page. That probably ended 5 or 6 years ago. But it is something that you should consider doing. Again, this is not applicable to YouTube, and this is not applicable to Snapchat. That's just how those platforms function. But it is something that works on most of the other big accounts that you may consider being present on. So a brief intro to analytics before we take a Q&A break. If you have questions as we go through, I can't see the chat box, but I'm sure you're putting your questions there. So once we get through analytics, we'll go ahead and talk about some of the questions that you have. Analytics are pretty much how you measure social media success. I've said this a few times, but it goes beyond the number of followers that you have. At face value, the number of followers that you have and maybe like the video views that you can see. So I, say we posted a video yesterday and we had 1,000 views. That is kind of a measure of how things perform, but there's so much more where you can understand it. So again, reach, bigger reach equals more success of a post. You can't see reach if you're not logged in as a business account. I personally cannot see the reach of, say, the Illinois Farm Bureau Facebook page. I can see the number of likes that they have, and I can kind of get a feel for maybe what their reach is just because I'm familiar with this. But as a public person, I cannot see that. However, on Illinois Ag in the Classroom, I can see that, and I can see how it performs. But we're looking also a little bit beyond reach into how people engage with our posts. Our goal is to create engaging posts. We want people to interact. We want people to like our posts. We want people to, we're okay with people commenting, but I'd rather than give us a share. Or, if we post a link, I want to see how many people clicked on that link. So engagement is the number of likes, comments, shares, plus post clicks. So all of those rolled up together, divided by the number of impressions, and that equals your percent engagement. So one thing to consider when you do this, and I will show you exactly how that looks on Facebook, but the nonprofit industry average for Facebook engagement is 0.1%. For everything, it's 0.5%. Engagement rates aren't usually that high. I am ecstatic if I see something at 10%. 10% engagement is just amazing. Illinois Ag in the Classroom, for example, this is something, we did really well during what I'm dubbing our Everyday Agriculture campaign, which was really that second semester of last school year. So about March 17th through roughly June 14th, that was a Sunday. But when we were posting those daily Everyday Ag videos, we saw roughly 8% engagement average. There were days we had 25% engagement. That tractor contest that we did, amazing engagement. At one point we were at 30%. It's how does your audience respond? And so those more engaging posts that we see, we should do more of them. So that's why I recommended, we're doing a lot of those National Day Facts. They're so cheesy, but people eat them up. It's awesome. It does wonders for our engagement there. It does wonders for our social media performance. And so it's responding to how your audience interacts with your page. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen share here if I can. My computer is extremely slow today. We are going to go over to Facebook, I hope. All right, and Chris, chime in here if you can't see my screen for some reason, but what you should be looking at is the back end of the Illinois Ag in the Classroom Facebook page. So you'll see there are a few things different here than what you would see probably as the general public, namely this top ribbon here. So I've got inbox, which would be messages, resources and tools. Honestly, I've never clicked that button, so I don't know what's there. Notifications, I get those in my notification streams anyway, but what we're looking for here are the insights. I'm going to go ahead and click that. So insights is where you're going to find those analytics and metrics. And internet is extremely slow today, so it might load, might not load. Loading. Okay. So pretty much Facebook will give you your analytics to the end of time, which is great because, if it's something that you only look at once a year, it's still there. It's wonderful. It doesn't disappear. So here on the left-hand side, you see there's a whole bunch of different categories for how you can see your analytics. So right now I'm on the overview page. So I can see, the people that have actually clicked on the page. That really doesn't mean a lot to me right now. Page likes, we can see that we're up 8 in the last week. post reach. This is just the number of people I have reached in the last week through various posts, all aggregated together. Gives me an idea of how many post engagements there have been, video views, you know, things like that. That's probably more meaningful to me if I am a business trying to sell things. What I am interested in are this likes page. So this will tell me how many followers I have. So the number of followers you have is one aspect to your post performance. First of all, engagement would be the one I'm looking at first, but also, you know, your total reach is limited to how many followers you have. So if you have 10,000 followers, you're naturally going to have more post reach than somebody that only has 100. So you can see here over July, it kind of tells me how it's grown, and day to day, you know, how many page likes have gone. So you can see one day here, it actually went down. Somebody unliked the page, it happens. Somebody closed their account, it happens. And it kind of gives you a projection of what it thinks the page likes is going to be over the next couple of days. So again, that's your total page likes. That's your number of followers. And it tells me here too, you know, how many likes I get in a given day versus how many unlikes. So, you know, maybe it shows that I'm +1, but I really had 2 unlikes and 3 follows. So things like that happen. It also tells you where your page likes happen. So see this gold here? This is people that reactivated their accounts. So, you know, maybe they got off Facebook for a few months, you know, we lost a like, fine, whatever, they got back on. So it's not really a new like, it's just an old like coming back. So that's information that Facebook deems worthy to share with you. You can also see how people liked the page. So they physically went to my page, they found it through the news feed, maybe somebody shared one of our posts and you got that little like page button in the right-hand corner. Maybe a page was suggested, maybe it's just organic search. You know, if I was doing a likes campaign through Facebook ads, it would probably tell me the ads, whether it came through my ad spend, things like that. So we're gonna go back up here. It loads to the second one, which I think is worth showing you, which is posts. So you are literally going to see the analytics for every single post for however much Facebook loads today. This is where I go when I'm looking for specific metrics. So if you are a page manager, it will show you the overall reach and engagement as a number within your timeline if you happen to just see the post, but this is really where you should go to get a good feel for how something performed. So yesterday we posted about National Milk Chocolate Day. At a glance here, you can see that the post type was a photo. And so one way you can measure your analytics is the type of post. So whether it was a straight link, whether it was a video, whether it was a post or a photo, whether it was just a text post, nothing more. You can see the post type. Our targeting is we have this set as public. We're not doing a paid ad. Reach, it tells me I'm about 1.4K. And engagement, the blue one is post clicks. So this is how many people clicked the picture to look at it. And then the pink is the actual post engagement itself. So the number of likes, shares, and comments. If I actually click on that link for the post, it's going to take me to an analytics page specific to the post, and it'll show me the breakdown. So here's the post. You can see that was up at the top was our copy for the post. This was our photo. This is what you're going to see on Facebook. You can see number of shares, number of likes, you'll see comments if there's comments, you can see the engagements and the people reached. But over here is the meaningful information. So you can see we reached 1,384 people total. So whether they saw that twice or 3 times or just once, this is the number of people that were reached. These are the numbers of reactions, comments, and shares, and here's the breakdown. So we had a total of 25 likes, 5 loves. We didn't have any other reactions. There were no comments, and there were 17 shares. And this is where that came from. So if you have a very, very popular post with a lot of shares, you can see how many engagements were on those shares. And ultimately, that goes back to your post. So if I shared this post and I got 10 likes on my page, Ag in the Classroom would get credit for all of those likes on this performance page. So you can see there were 16 likes on the post itself and 9 likes on the shares. Most of the shares came from our page directly, but 1 person shared a share. You can see that there were 9 people that actually clicked on the photo. There's 10 other clicks. Those 10 other clicks were probably like a see more, except our copy wasn't that long. So it's probably somebody clicking on our page. And you can see there's also negative feedback. These numbers usually aren't high. You can see one person just hid the post. They were probably tired of seeing it. They probably had a lot of people on their timeline that shared it, but they didn't unfollow us. And they did not report it as spam. So those are good things. It was just as part of their feed curation, they didn't want to see it. That's fine. So that's just a brief overview of what I look at in posts. Again, my big thing is I look at the % total engagement, and this is when I pull out my phone calculator and do math. 19 plus 47 divided by the 1386, which would tell me my % engagement. And I would do that across the board here. You can see Facebook will go to the end of time as far as your posts that you've shared. This French Fry Day one, it comes back, looks like it performed pretty well. 4.7 thousand, and then what, a couple hundred, almost 300 engagements there. So that probably did pretty well. So, and this is a factor of how often you post. This is a factor of how engaging your content is, how involved your audience is. You know, it varies page to page. But a good rule of thumb is if you are at 2% engagement, you are already above industry standard. It is what it is there. So we're going to flip back over to the PowerPoint. Get it there. Sorry, terrible presenter, out of practice. All right. All right, so we're going to talk briefly about social media best practices, and then we are going to go ahead and hit the Q&A. So as far as hashtags and tagging goes, hashtags and tagging, you can do this on any platform now. There was a time when a hashtag wouldn't work on Facebook. So a hashtag is pretty much just a search tool. So it's like if you Googled a phrase in Google, that would be a search function. A hashtag is a one-word phrase, so or many words with no spaces, that basically if you click that hashtag, you could go see other posts that had tagged that post with that same hashtag. I see hashtags as best on Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. Twitter is where the hashtag was born. It was an early search tool for them. Instagram with photos, you know, people can curate their feeds. They can follow specific hashtags besides just following specific accounts. So say I like, you know, Illinois Farm Families uses hashtag Farmers of Illinois for a lot of stuff. So, you know, Illinois Farm Families probably follows hashtag Farmers of Illinois so that they can see everybody that uses that hashtag and they can go like or potentially look for new farmer volunteers through that. It's how you search. So if I'm going to use hashtags, I think Instagram limits you at 30, I think. I would use like 10 max. You don't have to use any. Twitter, I would use a couple as long as it's like built within your sentence structure and not separate. And then again, Pinterest is really, it's how you search on Pinterest. So it's really good to use as many as you can there. If you're going to use them on Facebook, use one or two and use them within your sentence structure. Personally, I do field updates on my blog page. And so I use hashtag follow the field just because that's kind of the title of it is hashtag follow the field. So that is the one hashtag I use on Facebook. And I use it, you know, hey, check out this week's hashtag follow the field post. So it's within that sentence structure. So again, just because you can use them doesn't mean you have to use them. The tagging, so the @ symbol is a tag. So that's how you identify or share a post with another account. It's how you share credit. So you can tag a photo, you know, you don't need to use the @ symbol for that, or you can tag somebody within the body of your post. So say Illinois Ag in the Classroom want to tag IAA Foundation, we would just use the @ symbol and then IAA Foundation's username. And Facebook will automatically pull it up, or Instagram would automatically pull it up. But that's just how you share credit, kind of alert somebody, another account that you shared this post. You know, maybe they're interested in it. Maybe it's a partnership. Maybe it's two counties working together on something and one county shares it and the other county wants to tag the other county. You can do that. You can do that on any of these platforms. When you tag somebody, it does send a notification to their account. A big thing is you can tag personal accounts, but as a page is a public space. I would not be tagging personal accounts just to protect people's privacy. If they want to comment, if they want to tag somebody in the comments, you know, that's one thing, but it's them sharing their privacy versus you sharing their privacy. So that's something to consider. And again, do not share within the content of the post. Don't necessarily, you know, do a huge list in the bottom. One way that you can get around that is kind of, you know, carbon copy. So CC, and then like you list the one other person that you couldn't work into the copy of your post. So that's basics of hashtags and tagging for you. You can do this on any platform. Your voice. This is a big thing. Speak as the organization. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. You know, say a local business here in town. I'm just going to pick one out, Uptown Gifts in Uptown Normal. You know, if they're posting as, hey, I have these new things in stock, it's like, who's I? I don't know who I is. Or it's like, call me for this. It's like, who am I calling? When you're a business, you are a public entity. You're talking about we, the royal we. You're talking about us. So avoid I and me unless it's like a personal blog account. You know, that would be one instance where I and me would be okay, but you really want to speak in the plural. You want to speak in the third person, you know, hey, contact us if you're interested in these lesson plans, because, you know, you're contacting the business. Create interactive posts. You know, if you want to drive engagement, look for what your audience wants. So an interactive post is subtly inviting likes, comments, shares, and clicks. You're not saying, hey, like our page. It's just, you know, what's some stuff that maybe your audience would like? Photos are a great way to garner that. Photos, graphics, videos, those are all ingredients. If you're just posting 1 or 2 sentence statuses with nothing else, you're probably not going to get a lot of engagement. First reason being, Facebook doesn't like that. The Facebook algorithm favors videos, favors graphics, and then it favors photos. So that visual component is very important for getting yourself onto people's news feeds. Make sure you're posting content that your audience is interested in. If I come to the Ag in the Classroom page, I'm not expecting to see a lot of information on, say, you know, grain prices. You know, I am not, personally, yes, I'm interested in that, but as a general audience member, especially like if I'm a teacher or a parent, I'm not interested in that. So just be very consistent with your subject matter. It's okay to share things that are kind of out of scope once in a while. Be like, hey, did you check out this really cool thing happening in the science industry? But then connect it back to your subject content. Be like, so these are where these applications come in for agriculture. Creating your own content tends to perform better than straight up shares. However, it's okay to share. Shares are a great way to build relationships on social media. You know, if you share somebody's content, they may be inclined to share your content in the future. However, when you share, I would make sure that it's less than 50% of your content stream. And I would also make sure that you always add like a line or two that just says why you're sharing it. Don't just share it. Be like, you know, if you wanted to share the Milk Chocolate Day post, it could be as simple as Happy Milk Chocolate Day or did you know? You know, just don't. Facebook will give it more credibility if you put some content in there, make it look like you're not just sharing willy-nilly. Make sure, you know, you're thinking about it. You're showing them that you intended to share that post. And also curate your content for each platform. Do not blanket post. There are some instances where you post something about the same event on every single platform, and that's fine. But, you know, the way you post on different platforms is different. So for example, Twitter, you're limited to 280 characters and 4 photos. Facebook, you can have a whole bunch of photos and have a whole bunch of characters. There is no limit. Instagram, you're probably gonna work in more hashtags. So it's okay to use maybe the same style language, most of the same sentences, but don't just, you know, auto post from Instagram because, you know, if you look at an Instagram feed from a big page, they may have 30 hashtags at the bottom of your post. You don't want to share those on Facebook. No, again, hashtags aren't something that Facebook really favors. I'm not trying to search things with a hashtag on Facebook. So that would be one example of not blanket posting. And then again, there are some instances where all of the content you share can be on every platform, especially if you have a big event coming up or a big fair or something like that, but not always. You know, consider how you personally use each platform and the types of information you're looking. Again, if you're sharing something about Milk Chocolate Day, you are literally sharing the post from Illinois Ag in the Classroom on your Ag in the Classroom page on Facebook. You don't need to screenshot and share on Instagram. You know, it lives on Facebook. That is where people are seeking that information. It doesn't really lend itself really to Instagram. Instagram is really for the people. So, and also, what's the point of following you on every single channel if what I'm going to see when I log into Twitter, when I log into Facebook, when I log into Instagram are all going to be the exact same thing. So just things to consider. Think about how you use the platform. What would your audience want? We talked briefly about photos, graphics, and videos, how Facebook favors those, and those are very, very good things to be incorporating in your posts. Make sure that you size to your platform. So you can Google social media specs, but Facebook is generally 1.91 to 1 ratio. So basically like a horizontal photo. Pinterest is 2 to 3. Instagram favors square, although now you can do vertical and horizontal. You know, your everyday free photographic editing app will offer sizing assistance. It will automatically size a photo for you if you click the button. That's awesome. But if you're looking for a rule of thumb, square is the way to go. Square works on every platform. So the reason for this being is I don't want to post just the original size photo on Facebook if it wants a 1.9 to 1 ratio, because I have to click it to see the whole photo. Sure, that might drive some post engagement, but the everyday user isn't going to click to make it bigger. So think about that. It will generally deliver a square image without you having to click to make it bigger, which is why I say rule of thumb, that's one thing you can do if it's just easier. Also make sure that you're sizing for mobile optimization. Most social media usage is on your phone. I don't know how often you guys look at Facebook on your desktop versus your phone. Instagram is a phone app. You cannot create posts from the desktop, although you can see posts from the desktop. So make sure that anything that you post, as far as a graphic with words goes, make sure that it's readable on a phone. I'm not going to click the image and, you know, zoom in to make it bigger unless I am really, really interested in that content. So that's something you need to think about. Don't use little itty bitty words that don't show up on a phone. Make it convenient for your audience, you know, deliver the information without them having to go to more work. That's how you get your information across. As far as videos goes, generally, this is blanket generally, horizontal is generally preferred over vertical. Reason for that being is that it tends to fill your screen. However, there are instances where we would do something different. So Snapchat, you know, you hold your phone vertically. Snapchat wants a vertical video. When we did these Right This Very Minute videos, we chose to go vertical because it kind of gave the whole feel of, I'm out in the field, I'm just taking this quick video, I'm not really stopping working, and then I'm going to click send. You know, we kind of were looking for that authentic feel, so we did go with vertical for that instance. Facebook and other channels are a little bit better now than they used to be even a few years ago, as far as delivering vertical versus horizontal video content. So now it will fill your phone screen, whereas before it didn't. If you're going to post something to YouTube, make sure it's horizontal. Good rule of thumb there. Watermark your photos. I will show you a great watermarking app, but especially if you are sharing photos of kids or people, make sure it's watermarked just so your photo and or graphic doesn't get ripped off. It's easy to screenshot. You can literally click save photo on Facebook. Just make sure that you are protected in some way, or at least get the credit for that. Just for privacy's sake. Be very, very careful with copyright and privacy. There are photo websites out there where you can get photos that are free stock photos. There's a lot of editing apps, a couple that I'll show you, that automatically just connect with a website for free stock photos. So one of those being Pixabay. So don't just borrow a photo from Google. It's like, say you're looking for a photo of a cow, look for the copyright. You know, Pixabay, Pixabay is a great place to look. Free images, they're not always like exactly what you're looking for, but they have a lot of options available. You also should be careful when you are posting photos of people. There is a public consent clause. So basically, like if you're at a fair, you can take, you know, if you're in a public place, you can take a picture of a person and legally post it. But ethically, do you want to? So think, you know, when you go into a school, make sure you have school consent, and the school may go for parent consent. When we do stuff for Illinois Farm Families and I take photos, mostly because we're going to use them, you know, 50 ways from Sunday, I take a form and I get a photo release every time. Social media is a little bit different, especially if it's a group, public group, that's fine. But, you know, if you're taking pictures of individual kids working on lessons, just make sure you have that school consent before you post. There are, I'm sure you're familiar with, but there are privacy concerns, especially if it is somebody that might be in the foster system, or you never know what people have going on in their lives. So definitely things to think about before you post it on social media. Again, there are lots of places you can look for those good photos that you can use. Frequency of posting. I know this is a question. Consider what platform you're on. Twitter is designed to post like 5 times a day minimum. You know, it's a microblogging platform. News is constantly changing and evolving. It's fine for you to post 20 or tweet 20 times a day if you wanted to. But Facebook and Instagram really aren't designed for that. Your algorithm is going to control what people can see. So if you're posting 20 times per day, Facebook's probably like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, we're gonna pick 2 and that's all we're gonna show people. So if you're looking for a rule of thumb, Facebook could try to post 3 to 5 times a week. With Illinois Ag in the Classroom, we've got several different campaigns going. We're seeing that we're still getting good post performance. You can see that we kind of ranged back a little bit from what we were doing in April. We've gotten a good response from our Facebook audience. The number of times we're posting a week, which is probably like 10. But if you're looking for somewhere to start, 3 to 5 times a week is good. You don't want a silent Facebook page. If you're gonna have it, try to post a couple times a week at least. Instagram daily posting is good. Instagram now allows you to post up to 10 photos in a single post, which is good. You're not getting spammed as frequently by your followers or by your friends, just, you know, posting all their vacation photos. So think about that. 5 to 7 times a week. Twitter, you know, if you're looking for a rule of thumb, 2 to 3 times a day. Pinterest is a little bit different just because it's not a curated feed necessarily. It's more of that, again, search engine tool. And so you're kind of just creating a database. But the big thing here is consistency is key. Don't post 10 times all at once on Facebook and then just disappear. You know, that is the last thing you want to do. Facebook's gonna be like, whoa, what just happened? And then you lose all your algorithm credibility. Or your followers are gonna be like, they used to post like every day. I was looking forward to these posts. You know, they posted, you know, book reviews on Tuesday. Where'd it go? And you kind of lose that following. Make sure you're utilizing those platform features. So if you've got 150 photos to share from your county fair, if it happened this year or from last year or for next year, utilize a Facebook album. You know, it doesn't all have to be in a single post. An album is really easy to find versus a post will get buried in your feed over time. So that's something to consider. You can caption each photo if you want. It works very similarly on a page as it does on your personal account. If you have a big event coming up, consider creating a Facebook event. You can set the page as a host. You can set multiple pages as a host. You know, if you're really trying to drum up public support for something, that's a great thing to look at. Facebook groups are great. I know there was questions about that in Chris's survey. I think there's potential there for communicating with teachers. It's a nice closed environment. You can organize a lot of files within the files tab. I know you all have a coordinators Facebook group, so it's a place where you can have that private conversation. You can think about Facebook and Instagram stories. I'm really not going to get into that today, but that's just like the bubbles at the top of your news feed. So it's right there in front of your audience's face. Instagram TV is for video. You've also got your live options if you're looking to get in front of your audience. So we're going to take a brief break for Q&A. I think I saw some. I can get back to Zoom. Okay. Maybe. All right. Can you link your Facebook and Instagram so photos will show up both with one post? Yes, you can. You do have to have an Instagram professional account and a Facebook page to do that. And there's a little button that's in the settings that just says switch to professional account, and it will walk you through that. What's the difference between liking and following a Facebook page? It's really the same. Really, it's for like influencers when they're looking for your Facebook followers, they're looking for the page likes versus the page follows. So if you like or follow a page, you're still going to get all the content. It's really not a big deal, except for they only wanted to follow me. They didn't want to like me. So it's that feeling. How to tag Illinois Ag in the Classroom when you're making a Facebook post that we had just talked about. I think this came in before we talked about tagging. You just click @ and then our username is Ag in the Classroom. So you just type that and it should pop up with our profile photo. So people reached, so there's a difference between people reached and the best gauge of engagement. So the question is people reached not the important info, but reaction, share, comments, the best gauge of engagement. So people reached is one component. I want to see how well the post did. But I'm also very, very interested in the engagement. So I may reach a lot of people and have very, very low engagement. One of those reasons being there were a lot of shares, but there weren't a lot of likes. When you have more shares, you tend to have more reach. So I look at both. I report both. I say this is the total number of people reached and this is the % engagement. This is a great post. It was highly engaging. We should do more of these posts. So it's really both, if that answers your question at all. How would one watermark a photo, for example, a classroom? I will show you a great app to do that here in a few minutes. Is there a way to see who unliked your page? No, there's not. Just like you can't see who unfriended you on Facebook, you can't really see who exactly unliked your page. What is the difference between boosting a post and creating an ad? So boosting a post is primarily you're just doing a paid post within a newsfeed versus an ad will show up. So like when you're on your Facebook desktop, there's ads on the right side of the page, there's ads within your newsfeed. There's also different parameters between how boosting a post works and how creating an ad works. With an ad, you can only have 20% copy within the graphic that you use versus a boosted post, you can have, I think, unless they've changed it, as much copy within the graphic. So it's really just how the information is presented and the types of targeting parameters you have. All right, I think we breezed through all these questions. I have a couple more things I want to show you here in the next 7 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and hop back onto the presentation. And I just did that again, didn't I? Okay, Gracie, you can do this. All right, I am very much out of practice here. So some app recommendations, and I will post a full list of these as well as any apps that you guys happen to recommend in the chat. So if I'm missing something, feel free to throw it in there. I would say I don't use apps in the same way you guys do. I'm also pretty happy with what I use, so I'm not really looking for the new and the newest and the best out there. As far as photo editing goes, consider your social platforms editing capabilities. You can apply a basic filter on a Facebook post. You can apply a basic filter on a Twitter, on a tweet when you share a photo. Instagram has some really good photo editing capability and you can save the photo. Also, when you share the photo, will automatically save to your phone. So that's something to consider. Just again, click around. Click until it looks like how you want it to look. You can always back out of it. You can cancel, you can undo. Click around until it looks like how you want. And you don't need to over filter photos. That's not something you need to do. Other photo editing apps I like are Photoshop Express. That is a free app with some paid functionality. I also like Snapseed, VSCO, VSCO. That's also free. These are all free, but they have some paid capabilities. Layout by Instagram if you want to put multiple photos into one like little square graphic. And then my favorite, Spark Post. So Spark Post is great for photo editing, but it's also great for graphics, which I think is the next slide. Watermarking. So watermark is basically you put a photo over a photo and it locks it on and it's really hard to edit off unless you crop the photo. I like to use iWatermark. I know it's available on for iPhones. I'm not 100% sure if it's available for Android, but it's a good way just to be able to draw a PNG image, which is just the transparent background image upload it to the app, and then you can just drop it in, same place every time. It is super user-friendly. I think that's what all of us use now here at home office, but you know, it's an option. You can also upgrade some editing apps to unlock the watermark feature. And if you don't have to use a watermark, this is just something that's recommended. And if you're looking for something to use, just use your County Ag in the Classroom logo, use your County Farm Bureau logo, use the A from Ag in the Classroom, just something that signifies that it's associated with your organization. Video recommendations. If you have an iPhone, iMovie, super user-friendly. It's probably already on your phone. It's a great way if you're looking just to crop different parts of the video out, maybe add some slides in, you know, that's really nice to use. I have a lot of 4-Hers that like to use KindMaster. I know it has an Android app. I don't know if it has iPhone. I've never used it myself, but if a 12-year-old can use it, I imagine it's pretty user-friendly, especially talking about these 12-year-olds. So that's one. I think you can pay to get rid of like the little KindMaster watermark off the video, or you could just use the free feature. Spark Video is a good one. I know that's only available on iPhone. Again, great for cropping. If you're looking to zoom a video, make it faster. Hyperlapse by Instagram is really good. If you need to make it faster than what they can do, what I would do is just save the first hyperlapse and then re-upload it and make it hyperlapse again and just make it faster and faster and faster. So that's a good free app. And then if you're looking for more advanced software, Adobe Premiere, that would be like what our AV department would use. It does have an app and desktop version. So if you're like really serious about the video editing, that is something you could use. Another app that you should download to your phone, especially if you're on Facebook, is Facebook Creator Studio. Facebook is weird in that it's got like 7,000 apps, but Creator Studio will allow you to schedule a post from your phone. You can also see analytics and more. It's super handy. I don't know why you can't do that in the Facebook Page app. I think Facebook's trying to do some more advanced options with video editing, and I imagine that's why they created that app, but that's a good one to have if you have space on your phone. As far as graphics go, just to create your basic infographics, Canva is a great one. We'll walk through it here quickly. SparkPost, again, is one of my favorites. What I really like about SparkPost is that you can draw a color palette from your background photo, and you don't have to pick the colors. It's pretty great. WordSwag is a great one. It's free, and there's also a paid version. Basically, you just type in what you want to do, and then you just click through, and it does the typography for you. So that's really good if it's just text-based. Both SparkPost and WordSwag connect to Pixabay, which will draw in an option of free photos for you to use if you so choose, or you can upload your own or use just a basic background. If you're really into creating stories, Stories Edit and StorySwag are good ones. We didn't talk a lot about stories, but if it's something that you're already familiar with, those are some apps that you could consider. So I'm gonna hop over here onto Canva Desktop. We've got a few more minutes. If it loads. All right. So this is my personal free version of Canva on desktop. Canva also has an app. When I talk about social media, I do 100% of my social media management from my phone. So I like to use apps, but occasionally I'll jump over to desktop and just email it to myself or send it to my phone somehow. But this is the page when you log into Canva, what it will look like on the free version. You've got all sorts of templates you can use. When I talk about how an app will help you size a social media post, this is what I'm talking about. It's got way more than what's offered here, but you could frame it for an Instagram post, a Facebook post, a Facebook cover, a Facebook event cover, which is another size altogether, a tweet. You can also do a lot more besides social media on Canva, which is really awesome. Something else you might be interested in is this little learn feature. It's how to get started with Canva. It's how to get started with graphic design. It's just these short videos. Canva is based out of Australia, so they all have great accents to listen to. But it's a really good learn the basics with Canva. So if you're looking to use Canva as a tool and don't have any graphic design experience, knowledge whatsoever, but are interested, this is a very, very good tool. And so when you're using this platform, it's got recommended for you, which would be just some basic templates that you could use. All your designs, which would be, you're gonna see all my designs. If it loads, there we go. A brand kit. So if you have a paid version of Canva, you can upload your brand kit. So you would upload your logos, you would establish your brand colors and your brand fonts, and then you're using the same fonts and the same colors, and you can drop your watermark in there, easy peasy. So that's something to consider if you want a paid Canva account, is just the ease of use. If you have a paid account, you can also create a team and invite other people to collaborate on all of these graphics with you. That's super helpful for organizations that might have multiple social media managers. So that is just something to consider. So if I go back into social media and I want to create a quick thing, I want to show you something if you're on the free version versus if you're on a paid version. And my computer is freezing up, so we'll see if that even works. Maybe. All right. Well, while Canva loads, I'll answer a few questions now that I'm back. What is the best, most effective way to increase followers? Well, the most effective way is to create a followers ad campaign, but that costs money. The biggest thing I would say is to post regularly, post content that your followers want, and then also let followers know that you're on Facebook or you're on Instagram or you're on Pinterest. Let them know where to find you. So word of mouth, and then also just naturally posting. All right, Canva's not gonna work. So we're just gonna stop the share. Maybe. All right, back to the chat, sorry. Internet is not the best today. iWatermark or iWatermark Lite. iWatermark Lite is the free version. iWatermark, I think, is like $1.99 to download. And really the only difference is that iWatermark paid lets you have more graphics in your library to use as to post a watermark. So if you're managing multiple organizations, that's great. I think iWatermark Lite will let you use one or two. When doing videos, can you watermark them? Yes. I'm not sure that iWatermark would do that, but something that you can do is within the video software, you can watermark it. I wouldn't say it's as necessary with a video as it is a photo. Photos are just easier to rip off. I think that's all the chat that's here right now. Sorry about the internet issues that I couldn't show you more with Canva. What I'll do is I will post a list of all of my recommendations. If you have any others to add, you can comment on the blog post. You can go ahead and add to the Q&A here. But that's just a very basic overview of social media in the context of Ag in the Classroom. Some tips for you, some things that you could do. And again, I'm happy to field any questions that there are at this point. Hope you found this information helpful. Honestly, having been so deep into social media, it's hard to like resurface and figure out exactly what information to present without going too deep. I know that there is some interest in paid promotion, and that's probably a whole nother hour session. All right, I will give it another, here we go. Facebook learning site to recommend. Ooh, that's a good question. When I have questions about how to use certain functionalities on Facebook, I look at, I Google it and it takes me to a Facebook community page, which is kind of just a Q&A forum. That's one thing to use, but otherwise, Facebook is really all about just learning as you go. Click it. You know, if it doesn't work, maybe don't click the share button or the post button if you're not ready to share something. Really just click around, or if you have specific questions about something, I can probably help you through that. If not, we can connect you with people who are the experts in that space that can help you through that. But as far as a general how to use Facebook learning site, I really don't have a recommendation for that. The Facebook app to do scheduled posts from your phone is called Facebook Creator Studio. And I'm going to double check that on my phone to make sure I had the, yes, Creator Studio. So if you look up Facebook, it should come up. It's like a little, the director's sign thing that you would use like for a video or filming. And it's got a little play button on it, and it's blue as Facebook is. So hopefully you can find it. I'm not sure if that's specific to Apple or if that is also on Android software. I run Apple, so I don't always see. Alrighty, well, I'm not seeing any other questions come through, but I'll hang around for a few minutes if you would like. Thank you for joining. If you have any other questions, you guys know how to get a hold of me, gweinzerl@ilfb.org. Or if you need, you can Google it or just ask Chris or Kevin and they can get you my email. I will let Chris evaluate whether or not more social media sessions are needed in the future, but this should be the basics to get you there for this school year. The PowerPoint and the recording of this video will be posted to the beyondthebarndoor.wordpress.com website, so you guys can see that and refer to it later. I will also figure out if I can download the chat just so everybody can see what all the questions were, and if there are any recommendations that pop up, what those were. Since Facebook manages who sees what, is there a way to know if everyone who likes our page actually sees our posts? I will tell you now, not everybody that likes your page will see every single post. That's just how it is. With Facebook, what they can do is go specifically to your page, or they can turn on notifications to see your status, your posts first. But it's just the way Facebook looks and how they curate feeds, just so we're not overwhelmed, as they will serve your followers a few posts, probably a week, a month of your page, but they won't share every single one. Yes, everything will be posted to the website. So hope you learned something new.